This is the Crazy Kirby Kid, and I am making this video to show off a little indie game that I created about 4 years ago. This is way before the Critical Gaming blog, and this is one of the first games I ever made by myself. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the controls. And you use the right click to move your character around, and the closer you are to your character, the more direct control you have. So if you move your mouse far away like this, the character has a little bit of pathfinding wherever the mouse is pointed. That's very important. Now this game is made up of a triangle of about 3 different moves, and the first one is attack, and the character throws a rock. If it bounces off of other objects, you can potentially hurt yourself, like you just saw. And the other of the main 3 moves is push, and you can push blocks around. You can push blocks into enemies, and even kill them with blocks. And the last of the 3 major moves is block, as you can see here. Now you can block enemies and then push them as if they're blocks, so that's pretty interesting as well. And if you block an enemy just right, you can push them into walls and do extra damage. And you can also block in all directions simultaneously. If you block 3 or more enemies, a little golden ring will fall into the field, and if you stand inside that ring, you get more experience points. And if you wait to the last second to block an enemy, you have 2 different variations. One where they get pushed far away, which makes it harder to push them afterwards, and the harder one to pull off is this really close last minute block that keeps them very close. That comes very in handy later on, and you'll see in this video. So using these 3 primary mechanics is going to be very important for developing strategies and beating the game. So let's go ahead and go to the first level of the game, which is just a single enemy. And you notice once you get inside of the circle that it starts to follow you around. Now this first enemy is a very basic type of enemy. I just wanted it to be a simple organic or visual timer so you can tell how far away it is, how dangerous it is just based on what it looks like. But as soon as you add 2 enemies into the game, things become a little bit more difficult. In order to get time enough to kill 1 enemy, you might have to use your shield or the block and push techniques. This simple strategy or tactic of just shooting 1 enemy repeatedly with your rocks is just not going to work with 2 enemies. And because you start off every level with about 5 rocks, when you run out of ammo, you're going to have to move from your original position to collect more ammo. So that's one thing that'll keep you moving about the field. So this is a very similar level to the last one we just saw, but there is a block in the middle of the field, and this shows you how obstacles in this game can subtly affect the movement, the formations, and the positions of both your character and the enemies that you're fighting. So let's see this battle again. You might be tempted to try to use the rock to push and hit both enemies, but just judging based on their positioning, you're only going to be able to hit 1 at best. So this level kind of teaches you that even though there may be an obvious strategy, you might have to do a little bit of work to get into it. 3 enemies. Significantly harder than 2 enemies, you're going to have to use your blocking skills in order to do a little bit of repositioning in order to get your advantages like this. And being able to take on more than 2 enemies is going to be essential for this game. Right here it's 3 enemies again, but the field is a little different. The obstacles in this level change the way you can defend and attack enemies. And notice that you can't use push too easily against the rocks because it'll change your cover system. So sometimes you're going to have to move around obstacles take advantage of when enemies take the longer path around. And sometimes when you interrupt the enemy's timing, it really makes it more difficult for you to continually position yourself and get the advantage. You really have to be conscious of all of the obstacles and enemies in the field in order to develop the most effective strategy. And because when the enemies hit you, you get stunned for a little bit, they can actually combo you very easily. So when the enemies are in groups, you have to be very careful. Right here, if you find a hidey hole or really strong defensive positions, you can really take advantage of the dynamics of space. And because the enemies can't pass through each other, you can really set up some walls and blocks and other kinds of formations that turn the enemy's greatest strength, which is numbers, into their weakness. So let's look at this level. Just like in the first level, if you touch that inside of that circle, the enemies will all attack you. But until you do so, they won't. So you can take care of the enemies before they wake up and then get the advantage on this stage by using a little bit of strategy. Don't forget, you still have to collect the rocks from the ground to keep your ammo up. So let's look at this, one of the boss stages in the game, and the point of these stages is to get the gems. Now in this stage, the gem is right in the middle. So one of the conditions that I tell the player is if you stand on the gem until the little blue circle completely closes, you will beat the level. So there's two goals in this one. One is killing all the enemies, you'll definitely get the gem. Or the other is if you stand on the center long enough, you'll win. So this strategy is going to show you what it's like if you go for broke and you just go directly for the gem. It's pretty difficult considering the number of enemies and their ability to trap and combo you from all sides. But there is a way to get it. By throwing out early shields and taking advantage of your ability to block in all directions, you can hold your position long enough and get the gem. And that's a bit of an advanced strategy, so I'm going to show you what it looks like to beat this boss level without doing that. Now you notice right off the bat how difficult it is to get your spacing. The enemies will quickly surround you and limit your movement options. And if you try to quickly take care of one before the others come out, you'll probably end up wasting more time than the damage you'll gain. So right when this level seems impossible, simply moving around obviously opens up new strategies and options for you as a player. Because of the way the enemies have to move around, you definitely have an advantage by drawing them out into different sections of the map, just like in that previous level. So right here, there's definitely a good spot to lead them into, where they're all lined up for a good block and push chain reaction. So now it's just a 3-on-1, much easier to handle than a 5-on-1. And because they all move at the same speed right now, you can just lead them into a line which really sets them up for disaster. So even against overwhelming odds, the strategy and the positioning are your best chances of survival. Now right here I can get the gem or kill the last enemy, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you what it looks like to kill them and beat the level. And that's it for video 1.